App demonstrator in Australia, and it is Tuesday night, so it is time for my weekly online class to go. So for anyone who is new to my Facebook page or my YouTube channel, welcome. Thank you for being here. Each week on Tuesday nights I do a live video. So live class, we do 3 cards, and for anyone who places an order of $75 or more, and that's before shipping and after any stamp and rewards redemption, by the end of Saturday night I will send you the kits to make 2 each of the 3 cards from this week's class. So you'll get all the cardstock, design series paper, any ribbon, die cuts that are not part of the featured bundle are included. Any die cuts that are part of the featured bundle, you need to die cut those yourselves. I will give you the cardstock for those, but you'll need to do the die cutting. Just means that if you're using something slightly different, if you haven't got the same set I'm using, it makes more sense to die cut the images that you've got, not have die cuts that don't work with your stamps. So this week's featured bundle is the Words and Wishes bundle. So I just switch my camera around, and these are the 3 cards for this week. So this is the stamp set from the bundle, so it's got a whole bunch of sentiments and then a few images, so the cake and the present and a couple of candles. So you've got lots of sentiments in this one. And then the dies, I will take these out so you can get a better view, but you've got a whole bunch of sentiments, and so you get, and you can probably see it on this first one here, you have the image sort of for the outline, and then you've got the actual text. So you've got 2 die cuts. I highly recommend adhesive sheets with these. It makes it a lot easier, and yes, I did actually remember to use adhesive sheets with these. It makes it a lot easier. So you've got those, and then you've also got the die cut for the cake and the 2 present shapes. Then you've got some confetti, some leaves, and a sentiment label as well. So let's get started, and we'll start with this one here. So this one, I am going to need my blending brush. So this one is a Coastal Cabana card base, and I've got lots of bits and pieces all over the place here. So I have die cut my pieces already, and I've got, this is some of the Irresistible Designs designer series paper. So get the die cuts out later. We'll do this part first. I just need to get a few bits and pieces. I'm a little disorganized tonight, so just some grid paper to sit underneath. I need, once I find it, my Coastal Cabana ink pad. There we go. And a blending brush. Let's see how that one's looking. All right, so this one we are just going to blend so around the center. So we don't want too much ink to start, so we're going to start really light and then build it up where we want it built up. So start light and gradually build up. And so this layout will work in any color. So all you have to do is switch out your card base, the ink, and that's about it. So you can use any color. You could do a whole set in all different colors. I went with this one just because. So we're just going around the center. We don't want it to be sort of too straight across, so I do want to go lightly up a little bit further and then down, but not too much. We want most of the color in the center. We just want to add a little bit extra. And also just so it doesn't look like you've just got straight lines across. So I think that is probably just about enough. We might add just a little more in the center, just so there's just a little more. All right, that should probably be enough, I think. Let's leave it there for now, see how we go. And I'm just, can just use a tissue for this. And you don't really need to do it too much with this paper, but just to wipe off some of the excess from the embossed section so that the white shows through a bit brighter. But I found you don't need to do it too much with this one. It doesn't tend to, the ink doesn't tend to stick to the white, to the embossed white section all that much, so don't have to do quite so much with that one. All right, let's bring the card base back in, and we can stick this one down now. Hey Dimity, how are you? I'm a little bit behind tonight. I think I've been behind all week, really. Alrighty. And how's the volume? I do have it turned all the way up, so hopefully it's not too bad for you and you can hear. Alrighty, let's get this down. There we go. Alrighty, now where are my die cuts? Now you do need to be careful with all the little tiny bits and pieces in this one. Let's pull everything out. I think I've probably got some extras of some bits and pieces. I'll do the confetti later. I'm going to see if I can find the dot. Take these two out, see if I can find the dot for the eye, because it's not these larger ones. It's actually, I think it might be that one. It's a much smaller one. That one might be, there it is. There it is. Oops, come on. I'm going to try and get this on now, just because it is a little bit tricky to work with. Well, it's not so much tricky to work with, it's more that they can disappear very quickly. But if you do lose the dot from the eye, you can always use one of the confetti circles with the little dots, because they're a little bit bigger, but they work just as well. Or just use an embellishment instead. Both options work, so I'm just going to stick this one down now before I lose it. And we may as well do the rest of this now. And the other good thing with the adhesive sheets for this part is that it's very easy to adjust. So if you need to move the pieces, if you don't have them quite where you want them, it's very, very easy to move them and re-stick them where you need them to go. But you definitely want to use adhesive sheets for this. So much easier. All right, let's get this one down. Oh, let's pop the center of that one out. We don't need that bit in there. Alrighty. So that is done, and we can stamp the other sentiment. I'm still going to punch the other end of that. I just want to stamp it first. So I'm using Highland Heather for this one. And when I find it, there it is. Okay. Then you can get the 3-banner punch and punch the other end. There we go. Just trim off that little bit there. Okay. So that one is going to sit up about there. Let's just check. We'll pop this one up on dimensionals. So that's going to sit there. So this one is going to sit sort of just behind it, about there. Alrighty. Cuppa sounds like a very good idea, Dimity. It's very cold down here. Don't know what it's like where you are, but it is very chilly down here. I'm just going to move that across. Alrighty. Now, dimensionals for this one, and I'm going to need to get some more. Got some more little ones there, and those are also more little ones. Where are my big ones? There we go. You could also, if you're popping these ones up on dimensionals, you could also use the foam adhesive sheets and just cut the entire thing in essentially one massive dimensional, which is also a lot quicker than cutting up lots of dimensional pieces. And we may as well add dimensionals to all of these while we're at it. Just use up all my little strips. Oh, where'd that one go? Onto my jumper. And I don't know where. Oh no, it's still on my scissors. Backing's already off that one. And let's just chuck that whole thing down there. So that piece is done. And we can just fill in some of the gaps with little ones here, I think. And I reckon we can probably get away with just one big one for these ones. That will work fine. All right. $18. That's more than our maximum right now. We're looking at, and it gets much colder, but I think ours is 2 degrees tonight, and it's not far off that now. It didn't get over about 8 degrees all day, so it's a little chilly. But it's all relative. It's what you're used to. All right, so we will pop these ones, a couple below and a couple above the sentiment. All right, now we have the fun of working with lots and lots of tiny little pieces. So I'm just going to tip these out. We don't need all of these, don't worry, we're not going to stick all of these down. I'm just going to, I'll start with some of the, yeah, you probably don't want to come down here in winter, Dimity. It gets very cold. The minimums are usually in the negative. And even by the time we get up in the morning and walk the dog, it's still below zero many mornings. And then it's stinking hot in summer. All right, so we're going with 3 of And I'm wondering, am I missing one? I might be missing one. So I've got 2, I need 3, that's just a backing. Oh no, it's hiding under these. Oh, good. Oh, we do not want to get out of bed, Dimity, in the mornings. And our house is absolutely freezing, so it's about the same inside as out. It's quite often warmer outside. Except in summer, and then it's warmer inside. But I've told you about all the issues with our place. Oops. These little ones do like to disappear sometimes. So we're going 3 and 3. You definitely want you take your pick tool for working with these. It makes it much, much easier than trying to do it just with fingers, because trying to pick all of these up and get the backings off and get them down, it can be challenging. But once we have these done, then, oops, helps if it stays on. There we go. Then we are very nearly done. Now we just have the little dots. They're all trying to disappear. The other good thing with little tiny die cuts like this is that it's very, very handy for using up all your little scraps. That is one thing I do actually quite like about a lot of, that one doesn't seem to have much sticky on it. Let's go with another one. We've got plenty of them. Always good to use up scraps. Alrighty, so we're just going 3 and 2 in terms of the dots and the squiggles, and I'll just get these all back in, or as many as I can. I'm sure I'll lose a few along the way, but that's all right. Alrighty, Then I suppose we should add the insert, seeing as we have it. It's right here. Okay, and then embellishments. So for this one, I am using a mix of the Purple Fine Shimmer Gems and the Iridescent Pearls. And then just a few of these. I'm using up some of my very, very old ones that were part of a strip. So if you've got any of those old ones that are on the strip, so they're all joined together and you're not sure how to use them, just pull them apart and use them individually. Alrighty. And that is the first one done. Alrighty. On to the next one, which is this one. So this is Pretty Peacock for the base. Let's put that up there. And so I've used some of the Painted Illusions Designer Series paper, which is one of the product of the month products. Oh, and I've used the Berry Burst shiny ribbon for this one. Need to make sure I remember to add that before I stick this one down. Alrighty. Okay, so stick that one down, and then this one goes across the bottom. And I think I forgot to mention earlier, and I should just remind everyone, with the class to go, it does also include the PDF tutorial. So you'll have all the measurements, all the products used, and the instructions. So if you want to create more, you've got all the measurements, so you can cut extra. Just need to try and flatten this ribbon out a bit so I can get the tear and tape down. And I'll just add a little bit more to the ends. if I can get the backing off. Maybe I'll start from the other end. It might cooperate slightly better. There we go. Alright, so this one's going just up from the bottom. And then we can stick this one down. Alrighty, let's move that over here for the moment. So I've got a couple of die cuts of the Everyday Archers. This one is actually Blackberry Bliss. I've used the lighter side, and for those who remember it, it's quite close to Rich Raspberry, which is always one of my favourite colours, and it coordinates quite well with the Berry Burst as well. So on the basic white one, we need to do some stamping, and I need to find my ink. I've got lots of ink in front of me, I just need to find the right one. So I need Pretty Peacock, Strawberry Slush, and Berry Burst. Where's Berry Burst? There it is. Alright, so we'll start with the Pretty Peacock, and we're going to do the Happy Birthday. So we're going to go up the top and birthday comes underneath. Let me just make sure I haven't over inked that. That's a bit better. Okay, that bit done, and then we go to the Berry Burst. And we need the one that's hiding from me. There it is. So this is going underneath this one, and I'm just going to make sure I haven't over inked that. This one just fits across, so you do need to be careful with lining this one up, just to make sure that it does. I'm just going to clean that before I restamp it. So just take your time lining this one up, or you can obviously use any other sentiment of your choice, or you could just leave it blank. That is also an option. Well, not blank, just not add the extra sentiment. Just. Alrighty, and then we can add, don't need the cake with Strawberry Slush. Hi Renee, how are you? just need to be careful with this cake image not to over ink. It's quite easy to over ink this one, so just be light-handed with your inking up and also stamping. Don't press down too hard. That's looking all right. So, but I will give it a clean just before the next use, even though I'm going to be using the same color, just so it doesn't end up over inked. All right, so to color for this one, just trying to clean some of the stuff off my desk. I'm using one of the shimmer brushes for the cake, so the Barely Blush, and then the cake I used Lost Lagoon, and I used Crisp Cantaloupe for the other one, so for the next one. So I considered Pretty Peacock, but I decided it was just a bit, even the light one was just a bit too dark for this, so I went with a light one. But you can use any color you want. I went with, one of the reasons I went with Lost Lagoon was just that it coordinates with the designer series paper. Alrighty, then just take the ring off that, and then we're just going to color all of the cake, and you can go over it as many or as few times as you want. Get the depth of color that you want. You could also color with the Barely Blush blends first and then go over with the shimmer brush as well. I just decided we just do the shimmer brush. Just add as much as you want. So I'll make sure I've got everything colored. It's probably quite difficult to see a lot of the shimmer on cameras, particularly with this one as it is quite pale, but it's definitely there. Alrighty, that should be enough. Won't bother putting the ring back on it yet because I'm going to need it again soon. Alrighty, let's adhere these together. I just want to try not to get my hands all over the shimmer brush until it's dried. I'm alright, Renee, just very hectic at the moment. I feel like I'm constantly trying to keep up with things and never actually keeping up with anything. And it's very chilly tonight. Thankfully, the overhead light that I have does give a bit of heat, which is always nice. Alright, let's just adjust this slightly. I didn't get that quite lined up properly, but that is one of the reasons I like the liquid glue because you've got generally have a bit of time to adjust. That's better. I just want to clean up that little bit on this side there where I had adhesive on my fingers. Surprise, surprise. Alright. Let's stick this one down. Yeah, the Barely Blush shimmer brush does give a decent amount of colour, which is good because it's a very, very pale pink. So like the ink is very, very pale. The cardstock is very pale. So it's good that you can actually see the colour in the brush. Alrighty, let's get that one down, and then we just need to add a bow. My fingers are a little bit numb, but let's see how we go. And that's not quite right. Alrighty. I do like this ribbon. I do like the color. It's very burst, but it's very close to Blackberry Bliss. And I do love Blackberry Bliss. And I like Berry Burst too, but the ribbon's just that a little bit darker, and I really like it. And let's pull out my blue dots. One should be enough. Mark that one down in the middle. Adjust the ends if you need to. I'm just gonna, there we go. Alrighty, and then we just need to add some gems. So I'm just using the rhinestone, the basic rhinestone jewels for this one. So I'm just using a mix of sizes. So we'll add a few to this one. And where did I want? Up the top. Oh, I should probably add the insert. Where's my piece gone? It's hiding. Always hiding. Nope, that's the next one. Oh, there it is. My desk just seems to get messier and messier no matter how much I tidy, although I am working on a few different things at the moment, so that is part of it. Just be glad you can't see the floor behind me and around me with all of the many items that are just everywhere, because I'm using lots of different products for different projects. Alrighty, so there is the second one, and we just got one more to go. So let me bring it back in, and it is this one. So going with a pool party card base for this one, and I've got all my die cuts done. We don't have any of the little confetti pieces for this one, just the dot for the eye and for the sentiment, but we will get to that. So, and I've got the cake die cut, because we are die cutting this one. So for this one, I'm using the Beautiful Ordinary Life paper. Oh, which reminds me, there's a lot of stuff, a lot of papers that have been out of stock recently. And there are a few, not all of them, but some of them are back in stock as of today. I had placed an order for a bunch of other stuff and it wasn't in stock, and I went back a few hours later for whatever reason and happened to look, and this is one of the ones that is back in stock. Also the Valley and Bloom, which is one of the ones I really needed because we need it for the retreat. So that is also back in stock, and I have ordered, so I may have placed a couple of orders today. But hey, I need to get stuff. The retreat is coming up very, very soon. You can still register for the online access pass. That is still an option. That one you can register for that right at the last minute. That one doesn't really close off because we don't need to close off for orders or anything like that. All right, bit of tear and tape across the center. So I'm not doing tape all the way across just because this is so this is a retired ribbon. It possibly could still be on the last chance list, but I don't think so. This was from the holiday mini at the end of last year, and because it's a sheer ribbon, I'm just putting the tape where it's going to be covered by other stuff, so you won't see it. Yeah, the dies are really really useful, these dies, and you don't have to have the stamp set with this one, because all the dies, apart from the cake and the little presents, all the other dies are standalone dies, so you don't need the stamp set, but obviously if you want it and you want the sentiments, then absolutely. Alrighty, let's get that one down. Oh, I should take oh, don't worry, Dimity, I've had plenty of issues with emails too, and text messages, and Messenger wasn't working the other day. Wasn't working for a few days. I had a bunch of messages I needed to send out, and it was just like, no, not letting you in. So yeah, technology is great when it works. But yeah, I have emails, I have lots of issues with emails not coming through, text messages not coming through until, someone sends one and it just happens to trigger them all, and then you get a flood of messages, including a whole lot of follow-up. Why haven't you replied? Why haven't you replied? Why haven't you replied? Where are you? So, oops. Sorry. So I know the feeling. It's very frustrating. Alrighty. Now, let's stamp the sentiment for this one. So this is going in Pretty Peacock. And let me find, there we go. So just go right up the top with this one. No, I ditched Telstra a long time ago. Not a fan. Haven't been a fan for a long time. Not that I'm a fan of any of them, but no, we ditched Telstra a long time ago. Because, yeah, we had a lot of issues with both Telstra and Big Pond in the past. Alrighty, let's get that one down. Now, I'm not going to stick this one down just yet because we need to line everything up, and I need to make sure that that one doesn't have the dot. Got to find the little dot for my eye, which is actually still for now in the where's it gone? There. So it's still sitting in there, so I'm trying to keep it that way, but I just want to turn this around the right way. Just want to get everything lined up so I make sure that we have enough room, because it's a tight fit. It absolutely fits. We just need to be careful with the placement and the angles. That'll go there, that'll go there. Let's just check. We can probably move this down a bit. Actually, yes, we've got plenty of room because this one does sit a little bit further down. So let's move that. We'll sit a bit further down, which means there can come down. There we go. All right. Alrighty, let's get this going. Yeah, there's not a lot of options for mobile, for mobiles, for internet and all the rest of it in rural and remote areas, unfortunately. But yes, Telstra is very much on the not using unless there is absolutely no other choice. And thankfully we do have another choice, not a lot, but something. Alrighty. Once it decides to move, and I do want to actually, not quite happy with how that's sitting. Let's just adjust slightly. Whether or not I can get it much better is another matter, but we can try. That's a bit better. Yeah, Starlink's another one that I refuse to use. And I've been told that although the service is generally a lot, particularly for, you know, these sort of areas, in general it is better. The problem is if you have issues, the customer service is non-existent. Because we have considered that a few times over the years, but it's sort of one of those, yeah, nah, don't wanna. Oops, this one is getting slightly destroyed. It's sticking to my fingers far too much. Let's see if we can rectify this. Alrighty, let's see. We just need to, I reckon we just need a little bit of adhesive. Let's just get some of that behind there. And I'll put some on the bottom bit as well, just in case. Just need to mop up some of that excess. I'll use this to start with, pick up some of that extra, because you want to be very careful if you're using your adhesive remover on die cuts like this, just because it's easy to tear. So let's be very careful. And you can always get if you've got a bit too much adhesive and you can't get it off with your adhesive remover, or you're a bit unsure or not that confident that you won't tear it, because it's already, the cardstock has already been partially torn, so it's easy to sort of tear again. If you've got your embossing buddy, just dab that over the area with the adhesive, and that will take away the sticky. So I reckon that is, let's get the adhesive off the end of that, but I reckon that's rescued well enough. Alrighty, then we need to do the dot on the eye. So it is still sitting in here, so let's see if I can get the backing off. I'm just trying not to end up flicking it away from where I want it. Huzzah, there we go. Alrighty, so that will go in the middle. You could either sit this down, I'm sitting it down flat because that ribbon is pretty flat, but you could pop this up on dimensionals if you wanted, The other reason I'm leaving it flat is the cake is going to be popped up on dimensionals, so I want to keep that sort of flatter, just so it's not got too much height. And I think that's pretty good in terms of the letters there. I'm not going to try and adjust just because I don't want to damage that one anymore, but I think that is pretty good. So this one I used the crisp cantaloupe blend for the cake stand. It also works, even though it's not one of the coordinating colors for the paper, it does work quite well because it's very close. And then, and actually I should have tried this, but I haven't. Let's see how this will look if we color with, actually let's just want to see, let's try with this top bit, see how that's going to look. I'm just curious if the color will be better, worse, because you can see how pale the blend is on its own. This is the light one. The dark one is obviously a bit darker, but I do want to stick with the light one for the moment, just because I haven't tested this out, so I just want to make sure it's not going to end up too dark. So I'm just curious how it's going to look, whether there's any difference at all, slight difference, big difference. It's a fairly subtle color, so it's probably not going to make a huge difference depending on how much of the shimmer brush we add. Alrighty. I'm happy with that. So where are my dimensionals gone? They're hiding, always hiding. Let's just work a few of these down, and then I just want a bit for the bottom and the sides. Probably don't need much for that side, but we'll see. No, that's going to be too big. Let's just cut one of these in half. That should be plenty. Just move that one along. There we go. That's better. Alrighty, we're nearly there. that is going to sit down there, and then I'm using a mix for this one. Oh, let's do the insert before I forget. But for gems, I'm using a mix of the frosted iridescent dots, which are retired, possibly last chance list, but I'm going to say most likely retired. They coordinate. They were part of the suite that the ribbon was a part of, and then also the pearls, the iridescent pearls. So frosted iridescent dots, and then I need some more of my pearls. So, and a few of these, and then going with some of, just going with a few of, oh, like that one. Someone got adhesive on it still, maybe. Might be a bit easier to use the if it wants to cooperate. They can be a little finicky when they're tiny. Oops. Does that one actually have? Yeah, it should have adhesive. I'll get another one. All right, and let me just make sure that is down properly. There we go. And there is the third and final card. Oh, throwing stuff all over the place. Alrighty, let me bring all the cards from tonight back in. Once I find them all, where is my little? There it is. Alrighty, so there we go. These are the 3 cards for this week's online class to go. So you have until the end of Saturday night to get your orders in to get this week's class. And next week is, let me just change my camera back and let me double check. Next week, phrases and frames next week. So that is one where the dies use the new impressions plate. So I'll show you how to use that next week as well. Alrighty, thank you so much for joining me. I hope you enjoyed the projects. If you're watching on YouTube, if you enjoyed the projects, you want to see more of them, make sure you like and subscribe to my channel. It really helps me out. And thank you for watching, and have a great week. I will catch you next time.